Hi, it's Andy, and this is Kings Park Psychiatric Center. We're going to be heading out onto Long Island today, checking out one of the top spots in the country, Kings Park Psychiatric. It's an abandoned asylum. Wait till you see what we find. After we pass the Big Apple, it's out to Suffolk County, to Kings Park, in the town of Smithtown. Population during the winter, under 20,000. That spikes in the summer. With 150 buildings originally on the campus, this New York asylum was one of the biggest. It was self-sustaining community, farming, construction, food prep on site, as well as its own power plant and rail spur. Many of these buildings have been demolished. This is Building 93, one of the most famous. It was originally Kings County Farm, built in 1885, and in 1954 the population peaked with 9,303 patients. Let's head on inside and check out what we see. There's usually security here, so we head around back and down into the basement. That's usually the best way in any of these places. The first thing we see are all these abandoned beds, hospital beds and gurneys, things left over from the days when the patients were still here. This abandoned mental health facility has sat abandoned for 24 years. It closed in 1996. The last patients were moved to the Pilgrim Psychiatric Center, another abandoned facility nearby. That's a story for another video. This was originally called Kings County Farm. And eventually it was called Kings County Asylum. Kings Park, the hospital, was revolutionary at the time. It was a departure from the asylums of old folklore, which were overcrowded places with gross human rights violations often occurred. This asylum, built by Brooklyn to alleviate overcrowding in its own asylums, was considered a farm community where patients worked in a variety of farm-related activities. They were feeding livestock and growing their own food, so it was considered to be a form of therapy. But eventually, Kings County Asylum began to suffer, just like the very thing it attempted to leave: overcrowding. New York, the surrounding community, was known as Indian Head. It became now known as Kings Park. We're going to head across into the power plant. Look at this control room, this giant coal-fired boiler. It operated around the clock, 24 hours a day for over 101 years. Men manned these control rooms. They worked these boilers. Now this is what's left. It's been vandalized. It's been hit hard. But inside this room, down in the basement, are access to the tunnels that surround Kings Park in the underground. We're going to head down there. We're going to go across. Kings Park Asylum not only grew its own food, but it generated its own heat and electricity in this power plant. It had a rail spur that brought in the coal. Down into this creepy basement, we find the tunnel access. These tunnels lead down into the underground. All the buildings are connected together in Kings Park, powered by one big central facility. Once you get in these tunnels, it's cold and clammy. You go down through these tunnels underneath the road. It leads to buildings 41, 42, and 43. This area is known as the Quad. These buildings are in an X shape. The Quad, it housed the geriatric patients. As patients started to age in Kings Park, they needed somewhere to put them. They started to pile up. So instead of building out, they built up. The buildings of the Quad, built in the early 1930s, were replaced by Building 93, built in 1939, at the height of the growth. Always some controversial clips, a few chairs just chilling, and whenever you see a place like this, there's always great graffiti and signs of remembrance of days gone by. I've been here more than once. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of my footage. This is what I had left. Hey guys, it's Andy. Thanks for coming along today. If you guys like this video, you want to see more, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and definitely turn on the notification bell so you can see more videos just like this one. Thanks for coming along. Thorazine, the first readily available psychiatric drug. It came out in 1955. They dosed everybody up with it. It kept them quiet. It kept them in line. It allowed them to live a normal daily life. Once everybody was hooked on these drugs, there was no need for the giant institutions anymore. They started to downsize. By the early 1990s, Building 93, only the first few floors were being used. Going through their daily lives in this facility, the dining halls, their showers, all the stuff these people had to put up with, it would have been amazing. As they got older, stuck in here, sometimes I heard stories that they were dropped off and that no one ever came back to pick them up. This room, created by an artist, the room called Exhibit 8, was a recreation of what days were like in Kings Park. It turned out beautiful, had a logbook for guests to sign, but like always, vandals immediately trashed it, destroyed it, eventually burning it. Can we ever have anything nice? The sprawling facility with all of its history, built here along the coast of Long Island, sits in decay. I've been here quite a few times. Every time I find something different. I find the history, the archaeology, the anthropology of the people that were here before. The architecture, it's amazing. I like this stuff. I always get to check out something new. You never know what you will find when you're here. These buildings, they're just loaded with things. Security here, it's pretty light. It's inside of a county park. It's been going on for 24 years. They're kind of used to people. Every time I'm here, I usually see some other explorers. These were my friends, the crew I was with. We checked out lots of buildings this day. The large auditoriums with seats for everyone to the sole chair chilling by itself. Kings Park is a sight to behold. It's starting to rain outside. There are so many buildings to check out here. The morgue, it was converted to a recreational facility for the staff. Across the street, you find the Water Tower. Right next to it is Potter's Field, the site of the unmarked graves of those who lived here and died here back in the day, not to be forgotten. Smithfield is a beautiful town, haunted by the ghosts of those who came before us. That's what they say of Kings Park. It's a great place if you like graffiti, if you want to be an Instagram model, if you want to just check out the great sunset. I recommend it. Time is precious. Don't waste it. Get out there and explore your world. Stay tuned for the next video where we re-explore Embryville State Hospital. We check out the underground tunnels. These tunnels, like the tunnels in many great abandoned facilities, run through the entire complex. We'll check out the auditorium, the projection room with the projector still intact, the theater, all the things that you thought you'd never get to see again in this building, as we revisit Embryville and take a look at what's left. These things are amazing. The splicing table, it's all still here. The light bulbs, everything you could imagine, we found. All this we found while we were exploring this facility, keeping an eye out for security, keeping an eye out for the construction workers outside. The place is currently being demolished, and by the end of 2020, it should be gone. Join me as we explore the Embryville State Hospital next. If you guys have any comments about the Kings Park video, or videos you want to see in the future, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe and pound that notification bell.